The technological boom in the 19th century not only revolutionized age-old habits such as farming, but also contributed to the growing industrial strength of the United States. Most of the immigrants who steamed into the U.S. in the late 19th century became city dwellers, also known as people who seek the city because they were the cheapest and most convenient places to live. Cities also offered unskilled labor, steady jobs in mills and factories, and provided the social support of other immigrant families. It wasn't all that great for too long. Migration from country to city was also a great problem. The rapid improvements in farming technology during the second half of the 19th century were good news for some farmers and bad news for others. Inventions such as the McCormick reaper and the steel plow made farming more efficient, but meant that fewer laborers were needed to work the land. A great example were many of the southern farmers who lost their jobs were African Americans. Other African Americans in the rural South also became aware of the opportunities in larger cities. Between the 1990 and 1910, about 200,000 African Americans moved north and west to cities such as Chicago and Detroit. Another great urban problem with these new technologies was housing, water, and sanitation. When the industrial age began, housing options for working class families in major cities were few and far from satisfactory. A family could buy a house on the outskirts of town, but its members would have to commute to work on often inadequate public transportation. Along with these housing problems came water. Cities faced the problem of supplying fresh water that was safe to drink. Even in large cities like New York, homes seldom had indoor plumbing, and residents had to collect water in pails from faucets on the street and heat it for bathing. Water brought along with sanitation problems. As the cities grew, so did the challenge of keeping them clean. Without a dependable system of trash removal, people dumped their garbage into alleys and streets. Sewer lines and sanitation departments, which many cities had, instituted by 1900s, helped somewhat in keeping cities clean, but the task of providing healthful urban living conditions was ongoing challenges for urban leaders. Another great problem with lack of water was fire. The limited supply that water had in many cities contributed to another means, the spread of fires. The use of candles and kerosene heaters was also a great fire hazard. In San Francisco, deadly fires often broke out in the aftermath of earthquakes. Jack London described the fires that broke out during the San Francisco earthquake of 1906 to be greatly powerful to many families and to many kids, and along with the industrial movement we have today. Some people spread rumors that this fire also started off with the cow kicking its lantern with its farmer sitting right beside it milking him. Another great urban problem was crime. As the populations of cities increased, so did crime. Pickpockets and thieves flourished in urban crowds, and Englishmen fooled non-English speaking immigrants and naive country people with clever scams. Although New York City organized the first full-time salaried police force in 1844, it and most other city law enforcement units were too small and inadequately protect residents from rising crime and violence.